Hey, it's Patriot Smoothie. I'm at the Ottawa Courthouse for day 15 of the trial of Tamara, Lich, and Barber. We are just on lunch break right now. I basically need an apartment here at this point, folks, with the amount of time I'm spending here, but I know you appreciate it, so thank you so much for following along. Today we got through we got through an entire witness this morning, Miss Sarah Gawman. She testified. She's the first of the 8 witnesses the Crown will call after Justice Perkins McVeigh decided yesterday that the Crown could proceed and call these 8 witnesses after a challenge from the defense that was ultimately defeated. So this first witness spoke about things like the noise, the horns, an interesting one that I haven't heard yet, the drums, speaking about the sound of drumming. I don't know if this was a drum circle or a marching band or what particularly the witness was talking about, but they said there was drumming and that the honking was 24/7, never ending, just incessant honking. But later on cross-examination, admitting that after these February 7th injunction, it became more sporadic. So it's interesting to see how the story kind of changes when it's put under the microscope a little bit. Also, she admitted that she lives in a high-rise, rather high. She also admitted that the sidewalks were, like, she could walk through them, they weren't blocked, but she did not feel comfortable doing so. And that's the theme of the testimony, really, that there was a lot of discomfort, but that there was not actually a physical barricade to doing different things. She commented about these walks that she would take, very unspecific dates, didn't have great recollection of the dates of those walks, but said that she ended up at one point near Chinatown, as she put it, at Somerset and Bank, and that there were people there, the intersection was blocked, and that some people were wringing their fist, I guessed, at the sky. So she described people wringing their fists. An interesting piece of testimony there. And she said, she was asked specifically if she had interactions with protesters. She said not very many. She said that she would, and non-specific that she can identify. She also couldn't identify any of the trucks or anything that were there in any way, or the truck drivers. So that's interesting. That was a question from Mr. Greenspan on his cross-examination of our first witness this morning, Ms. Gawman. And she also admitted that when she was out and walking, she had her mask on, and there was less than 5 encounters, she said, less than 5 encounters where people told her to take her mask off. And she said that she would never return those words. And she said, I believe that she called the police separately. I can't recall right now. You could go through it. There's a lot of information there. Go follow on Twitter if you want the specifics. It was crazy how things kept changing and developing. She also at once said that she couldn't go to the she tried to say that she couldn't go to work because she physically works. She goes to the office, she works part-time, and she commutes there by walking. She said originally that she couldn't go into work, but then later on cross-examination said that she could go to work, but after about 2 hours she couldn't concentrate because of the noise. She also interestingly commented about the date of March 7th. She testified that there was cars and vehicles racing up and down Laurier Street. It was a very bizarre thing to listen to. March 7th, interesting date to mention. I don't know. And Miss Magus even asked, are you suggesting that the police did not clear out the protesters, that the area of Laurier or whatever was still blocked on March 7th? And she said that some hangers-on had come back and were racing up and down the street and honking and doing all kinds of things and parking weirdly. And it's like, well, you know, it did make a lot of sense. It did not make a lot of sense at all. And she also admitted that she couldn't identify them to be convoy protesters, more or less. She couldn't identify who they were. So it's kind of not really relevant. But that's the kind of testimony we're getting in there. A lot of objections from Magus, from Greenspan, doing their work to object to hearsay, to object to non-relevant evidence, to object to impact evidence. Again, impact evidence only becoming necessary if and when there's a conviction at the end of the trial, not during the evidence, not being heard as evidence at all. And that's the theme. So the witness definitely getting in some leg room, leaving the room multiple times as the legal discussions were had about this or that. And that's where we left off with Sarah Gawman. Then we got to Vivian Lear, who is a church administrator, testifying about some pretty interesting things. Again, the noise, the smell, saying that the smell infiltrated her workplace, that the noise infiltrated her workplace, describing the Kent area, the Wellington area, as blocked, but also testifying, we haven't got to cross-examination with the second witness, Miss Lear, yet, but testifying with the Crown's chief that there was an effort to keep some lanes open. So we heard that in testimony, that there was that Wellington, they seemed to be moving on a lane in there, saying that Kent kept changing, that it was a dynamic situation. She said that she witnessed 3 particular instances of defecation and urination, later admitting that she never personally witnessed the defecation. She did find feces in one point. But interesting on that note, in that corner over there, There was some feces, but I don't think a trucker left those. It was human feces with some toilet paper on top. So it's hard to identify who the culprit is in these situations, and that's the theme here. We can't identify the person. We can't identify who they're affiliated with. We have these things, and she said, and only in 3 times she did catch urination. She caught someone urinating. She said that she had a confrontation with them, that there was some swearing at her because of that, because she confronted them for peeing on the northwest side of her place of work in a bush. And that she said that she also had another confrontation with another man, a trucker who she very clearly pointed out was playing Led Zeppelin music very loudly. So she went out to confront him, saying that you're disturbing the church and so on, where this guy came back and said, had some swearing with her. She said she only called the police to liaise with them to escort the pastor in, but she didn't work on Sunday, so she wasn't really there when the minister or the pastor got into the work, but she did see the minister arrive safely with police escort once, so that's when she would call police. Otherwise, she would talk to random police officers on the street, and she had a couple of regular police officers she would talk to. That's where we're at right now. It's going to be very interesting to get to the cross-examination with this witness. I'm sure we're going to get some interesting contradictions again. Also very interesting, the first witness admitting, Sarah Gawman admitting that she is aware of the class action by the residents of Ottawa, the so-called residents of Ottawa, against the Freedom Convoy, and that she's also participating in it. So that came out on Greenspan's cross-examination. I'm sure we'll get similar questions with this witness. I don't know where that questioning will get us, but these are some interesting revelations, and if you really want to know more, follow along for all the contradictions and things that are coming out. I'll update you later tonight on Patriot Smoothie from Ottawa.